husband was the dude who played the dance instructor on the Five Heartbeats.
Really?
Mm-hmm. He was he was a famous dancer back then. The Nicholas brothers.
The Nicholas brothers. Like in the 40s, like way back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I did not know that.
And was even at one point married to Dorothy Dandridge.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's deep. That's deep.
Harold Nicholas, that's his name. Mm-hmm.
Harold Nicholas?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we get to the next scene where Manny takes the class on a field trip to teach them about common courtesy. They start to understand and realize what he's trying to teach them. It's life skills. It's more life skills. So
the light bulb comes.
The light bulb, right? So he has one of the students go up and rudely ask the doorman or customer service person about a job in the building, and the customer service person kind of pushes him off, like, get out of here and blah blah blah. Then he had another classmate go up in a suit and being very polite and courteous and asking the same question. And that customer service person in the building is treating them with the same amount of respect and courtesy to teach them that if you be kind to people and act accordingly, it will come back the same way. If you go up there ghetto, well, I need this job, show me where it's at, they're going to give you that energy back.
Yeah.
So this experiment kind of showed the kids like, oh, he kind of knows what he's talking about. And maybe we should start listening. I feel like after that field trip, the light bulb came on all the kids.
See, because I went to high school in the 80s, and we had home economics.
I remember that.
You know what I'm saying?
I remember that.
And that's what many of us learned, how to write a check.
Yep.
Yes, sir. They walk on the outside where you walk with, like, it was more than just home economics. It was etiquette, you know what I'm saying? And I remember some of my girl cousins actually went to etiquette classes. You know what I'm saying? Where you learn what fork to use at the dinner, you know, how you supposed to sit at a table. Don't put your elbow. I mean, really like
etiquette class.
Because many of us, unfortunately, didn't learn these things at home. So they would put us in classes to give us some hope of surviving in society.
Yeah. Because you're going to be around different people, different backgrounds, and you stand out when you don't know which salad fork is the actual salad fork. Or you eating spaghetti the wrong way and you slopping it up like a pig. Like, people look at you a certain way. You don't know how to eat food the correct way.
Right.
But it's not really, that's why I've never blamed nothing on my parents. They only taught me what they were taught. So, you know, coming from our era, we could never, it's not fair for us to blame our parents, because look who our grandparents were. They didn't
never even went to restaurant.
Know a lot. You know what I'm saying?
I get my toys. I'll go to the restaurant. Hey, lady. Hey. Somebody said, excuse me, ma'am. Oh, excuse me, ma'am. Yes. We're like, oh, she heard me the first time. Yeah, but she wasn't going to respond to you yelling, hey, lady.
Hey, lady. Right. Correct.
Excuse me, ma'am. Yeah. Excuse me, sir. I didn't literally learn that. I was 20-something with someone had to.
It makes a difference.
Had to be like, I'm like, oh, wow, I've been in restaurants for years.
Yeah, it makes a difference.
Probably looking like the biggest jackass.
Looking crazy.
And I'm not a jackass, but probably was looking like one, but I didn't know how to carry myself.
Yeah, looking crazy. Yeah. So Dave, Miss French, Nikki, and Manny go out on a date, and something happens that night. Miss French finally gives up the yammies. And it was weird because he walked her to her door. She said goodnight, gave him a kiss. She went inside and closed the door. Dave just stood there at the door.
He knew. That was that ism.
He knew that night it was going down. So he stood there about 30 seconds, 40 seconds. She opened that door, opened it a little wider, and without saying any words, that was like, come on in.
Now, art doesn't imitate life, though, because in real life, you'd have been still standing on the other side.
You'd have been still standing on there. One of her neighbors would have been like, stalker.
Yeah, like, hey, can I help you?
Yeah, what you standing there for? But he stood there with a smile on his face, kind of knowing that she was going to open that door back up.
That's the smooth operators in the 70s.
Oh, he was smooth. He was smooth. He was super smooth. So
you got to send that text now, like, hey, I'm still out here.
Yeah, it's a different ball game. So Mrs. French finally tells Dave about Detective Burke in a weird way. Like, she explains who her mentor was and who her husband is. And then he kind of puts two and two together because he's a smart guy. And they figure out that Detective Burke is the detective who's been blackmailing this whole time. Now, let's get to this whole blackmailing thing. You want to blackmail me and my criminal partner to go teach some kids instead of you teaching the goddamn kids? Why the fuck you didn't go to the youth center? Why you want me to dedicate all my time to these badass kids?
I assumed it was penance. Like y'all got away with heavy dirt for so long. You're gonna pay some dues to society.
I mean, I guess that would, but I'm glad that at some point in time in the movie, Mrs. French checked Detective Burke and said, your wife wouldn't have done it that way. Because he said, well, that's what she would have done.